see, yeah, it LD. Yes. Yeah, so when talking about agile or waterfall or any practice or technique, we mean about the way of working. So this is not about the requirement itself, not about the software, but it's about how you work to produce a requirement, how you work together to produce the software. So this is the a bit different aspect than what we have talked yesterday. We're very product or service centric, the lecture yesterday about quality, about requirement, but today is a very process and team centric. So yeah, there's first of all, there's a question say before even asking about why rapid software developments, we ask why do we need a process? Why do we need such kind of like practice, such kind of established way of working? And we know that a team, especially a professional team, they have a different level of performance in comparisons to a immature team. And a team is also different from a bunch of people. So what make a professional team? What make a good team? What differentiate between this team and less or amateur teams? So they have a certain way of working that is effective and efficient. So the research and practice on organizational theory, on team dynamics, on engineering, own documents the best practice or the way that a team can be more effective, more efficient. And this are part of the developments practice in software engineering as well. So in a large project, we cannot just like, for example, come together and discuss on how we should do things. Yeah, you can do in this way, but people have done it. And why not just open the book or yeah, somebody have more experience and tell us like which way work and which ways work also, but take more time, and which way doesn't work, how we can organize us. Yeah. So these are non-trivial issues, and yeah. So among the process, among the way of working, there are two very popular and still used a lot these days processes. And the first one is a waterfall. And you have a bit background on this. It means that every activity happens when the previous one finished and you have no way to go back. So it's like water going from the higher place to the lower place. You don't bring water back. And the problem with that is the rigid of the process. For example, when, for example, like yesterday, if I say, okay, we finished with the requirement, I don't let you the second chance to improve the idea, right? Then we continue working with immature idea, with incomplete requirements. And yeah, that's not a right things to do. Instead of that, maybe I give you second, third, fourth revisions, and then you change and you update the ideas, and you go closer to the right product. So that's the idea. Waterfall cannot give you that option. So for projects that need more frequent change, more than 2 years, for example, then yeah, the waterfall might suitable. But if you have changed like less than 2 years, then the industry show that we need other methods. We need to be able to deliver the working software quickly, right? I cannot wait until the end of the semester to see your first prototype, right? Because that's too late. If after 3 months, I say, wow, yeah, this is something in the direction, but yeah, that doesn't reflect this and this and this. So if you deliver it quickly, and I can see your prototype and I can give you a feedback, and you can change. And the next time when I see it, it closer to my demand, to my requirements. But in this way, then you really focus on the prototype. Somebody make the mock-up, well, that okay, but somebody like write code. It takes more time. It takes a lot of time actually. So in this way of working, we don't write much documents. Don't write many documents. Focus on the code rather than other things. So that's the idea of a rapid software development. So less formal and more focused on the point. Agile is the central of the rapid software development. I even think that the rapid term is actually extracted from the Agile principles. So from 2000s, there's a group of practitioners. So the method is not coming from the business, not coming from the academic. So actually, most of the popular process or trend or movement in software industry actually come from practitioners, and researchers and academia catch up, validate, improve, and yeah, show the usefulness of different aspects of that, but not really into the core value of the method. So all the methods and process and way of working was born because of the real demand. People working in industry, they see the gap, they see the problem, and that's why they propose the method. So Agile have 4 values and 12 principles. I show you quickly these 4 values. And equally, if you read the article, they say this. So the first one is the individual and interactions over process and tools. Okay, wow, I'm talking about process, and here they say, let's focus on the individual. A project can be very rigid, and a process might include like 20, 30 plus steps. Every step have to be performed in a very formal way with the quality gate. Right? You need to be formally approved for the start and formally approved for the closing of each step. Then when putting that in comparisons to Agile, it's really, we still have a certain way of working, but the process is lightweight. It doesn't mean that you work in an arbitrary way and just like focus on yourself. It's not like that, because people get certified to become an Agile coach. There's a method there. There's things you need to follow. Yeah, even that you have to follow more strictly, but it much less of them. And yeah, you focus more into the term like interactions. Okay, and focus more on the software rather than writing a lot of documents. It doesn't mean you don't write documents, but you write less. Focus on collaborations with customer than based on contract. So it's a very typical for an agile team is that they meet the customer very frequently, like typically in the end of every sprint, also in the beginning of every sprint. And yeah, so it was born to respond to change rather than follow a rigid plan. I think we can go through each of this. Yeah, so this a comparison between plan-driven methods like Waterfall and Agile. So I will not say about Waterfall anymore in this. And we even have one article telling you like the comparison and the hybrid approach. Many companies, they combine both plan-driven and Agile. But in a small team, especially in this size, and for this kind of products, I own the project ideas you pitched yesterday. It's very straightforward to apply Scrum. That also what we teach in this course. Yeah, so let's talk about the key points regarding each of these values. So here you don't see, okay, what we have to follow like 1, 2, 3 step by step, but let's try to understand the value. So in Agile team, we will let people have a great autonomy. So everyone are the leader on their own work, and everyone should be a strong player. So you have ability to contribute, to raise a voice, and to be responsible for a part of the project. But in many cases, there's a star. That's the problem of a star member who dominate the team. One single voice which is too strong, and it lead to the less contribution from other team member. Yeah, and in this value, it's also encourage team to start fast and start small. So find a free tool and use what you can use to demonstrate. Like start with a paper or whiteboard or anything. Yeah, sit together with one computer and share a Google Doc. Yeah, but just start right away. And we need to understand that building team need time. Yeah, it's good that yeah, you know your teammates to some extent, and maybe you work together before, but yeah, it really takes time to even that you know others. You need to know him or her in a professional context, and yeah, and it needs time. So some team may work well with a certain type of project, but but they work not that well in another type of project. And yeah, so software over comprehensive documents. So the real focus here, because like before in the history, many projects produce like thousands page of documents. Well, when they need to do that, document need to be sent to different stakeholders, to different level of managers, and for yeah, storage purpose. And it's proof that this way of doing is really insufficient. It's not effective in certain type of software, which unfortunately that is a very popular software these days. Most of the software that you can find in the internet or used by you daily is actually can be done in a much less rigid way. It doesn't mean that produce no documents. So, but the rule here is saying that you will not produce a document unless is needed immediately and significantly. Well, yeah, this is originally what I said in the value. And this one, customer collaboration over the contract. So the idea is that we want to avoid the case customer sign a contract and then go disappear, and in the end the project show up and get discussed. This is extremely dangerous because like yesterday, we understand that requirements is not always it's often not well understood from the beginning, and we need times to get better understand what the customer wants by talking and by collaborating with them, not by us sitting in a corner room and playing with our computer. So in Agile, yeah, we get the regular feedback from the customer, both for the input requirement and both on the prototype on MVP. And yeah, and these years, well, at least for my company, when we write the contract, we don't have the list of detailed requirements in the contract anymore. Not even in the appendix. So we have an appendix come and in addition to the contract, saying about the code of conduct, how we work together, describe the scope and what we will not do. But we agree that we have to accept that a certain level of flexibility for the customers. So we agree that, okay, change may come during this 6 months, and we will negotiate and we will discuss if the change that's too far away from the original agreement. So we don't base on only one contract from the beginning, and that's also it's very not the way we work in software industries. Hardware, maybe you can see, feel, and predict precisely, but it's very difficult that you can say exactly or estimate exactly the properties of a software project. Please.
How do you manage, since you mentioned how do you manage usually conflicts between you and customers? Because when I say conflict, it's not a fight, but sometimes customers will tell you that, no, you don't understand what we need. And then they try to extend that or push over their demand.
Yeah.
And you know, sometimes you reach a deadlock of negotiation. Usually, how do you manage that if it's outside of the requirement?
Yeah. That's very good. Well, in I mean, my experience from my company, we base so much on the relationship with the customers. So we need time to develop our relationship with them, and we base on our understanding about the customer, their personality, and their experience, and a certain risks are reduced and even avoid when you know more your customers. We have a when the customer came, well, actually we have a pilot project first. Both of us we're happy with the customer, and the other way around. Then we start with the real project, and in the real project, we have a descriptions of the product briefly, like what you showed yesterday, like everyone did yesterday. We know that it's not the final because like it takes more time to get into the business, to understand the workflow and etc. And we cannot wait until that time to sign the contract. and we want the customer, and we want to freeze that money flow. We need to have the cash flow in, so we signed that time, and we have two smaller contracts after 3 months and after 6 months, because the new request is a bit more than what we expect from the beginning. So we discuss, we explain, and yeah, and then we all agree.
So don't you
No. With that, we don't do that. So what we do is to do is iteratively. We continue doing the requirement engineering based on a sprint. But what we define in the beginning is the scope. It's not the requirements, but what are the features? Just a few. Many of you written like that in your project idea registration form.
Yeah, because sometimes the scope matters, that sometimes you define or deviate from the scope. They say, no, this is included in the scope, and then it's not getting included, and sometimes they don't document that.
Yeah.
They don't
Yeah.
sign on it, so.
Yeah, because what you say is I think there's a assumption that the relationship with the customer is very shallow. That's but our way is a bit different, because we first of all we want to know the customer, understand them. So you not start with the contract, you start with the person. You focus on person, you focus on understand their company. So they have a real need, because these are big organizations, and they running like $1 million business, and such a small software contract doesn't matter much. But we know what they want. They really want things that we can provide, and we try to satisfy their needs. But the things that we know, they don't know their needs, and we cannot, okay, let's work on this contract, and then we finish, we get the money. So this way it doesn't work for this or for most of all our customers. Yeah, and that's why we use Scrum. Well, it isn't a very natural way of doing for our company. So yeah, so that's a bit more a bit like extreme, a bit more extreme example. But yes, we focus more on understanding, collaborating with customers rather than rigid process-based things. Yeah, you can maybe, but also I know, because I've been working for outsourcing company before. They serve for really a lot of customers. They need to have a very well-established process, because the manager, they manage like 20-30 projects from different countries, from Europe, from America, from but that way of working is I don't know, because all of my experience from small or medium-sized companies, but that way of working, you have the risk that because it's a trend nowadays that we call create value. People want someone to go along. We want someone to like be with you, but not like a contractor. Yeah. So
I've seen a company, I've worked with a company, the same thing, and out of 100 projects, only 20 ships and only one succeed.
Yeah.
It's really a hectic, way of managing.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. They say that we are agile and Scrum, but
yeah.
in the end, it's not.
Yeah, that's true. That's well, now everything is agile, right? So it's easier said than done. And because I did my my PhD, actually my work is focused on software outsource. So the term is global software developments, because basically the software industry is not located in one place. You have like most of the most of software engineers working for USA projects are spread around the world. You have a lot of people from India, you have a lot of people from China, from all around places. And the team can go as big as like 200, 300 people, how you coordinate and how to make sure the project a success. So that's part of my PhD. I did it like started like 2010, and I had a very big case. So we study the two companies. Yeah, of course, you know Microsoft. The other one is Avaya, it's a competitor to Cisco. So yeah, but 2010 and now it's 12 years, and I see more kind of a shift, at least from my experience. Yeah, exactly like people moving from Waterfall to Agile. So Agile is not actually any more things to research, not anything. I mean, it's kind of de facto standard. Every company doing it. Yeah, and okay, and this point, a response to change and follow a plan. Yes, and all right, and so Agile is families of methods and way of workings, and we focus on Scrum, and you will practice a Scrum. So put it in a very brief descriptions. Yeah, so the focus of Scrum is to deliver the highest business value in the shortest time. Yeah, so there are two key words. The most value for the customer, and they can see and you can interact with it in the shortest time. Okay, so at least the customer are very happy about this. And every sprint will happen from 2 to 4 weeks. And during every duration like this, everyone can see a real working software and decide what to do next. That's the idea. Okay, so the Scrum has been used by, so this list is a bit out of date because now it's used by really much more than this list. And it is very flexible. It can be used in even hardware developments, even manufacturing companies. They also adopt the Scrum to develop their products. And now we have showed this famous picture, and it's copyright to Mountain Goat Software. But the method is yeah, the method is known since 2000. Yeah, and we start with what is called a product backlogs, or a list of requirements. We break it down to a smaller backlogs. Start with the first one called Sprint 1 backlog, and go through a duration from 2 to 4 weeks. We conduct several meetings during this this time, and the most common one is the daily stand-up meeting that usually you do it like every morning. So we talk about that later. And in the end of the sprint, you deliver what is called a minimum viable product or shippable product increment. Just simply like something that concrete enough and visual that the customer can see, can experience, and can give you comment. Yeah. So okay, from here I will use the term sprint to represent for this duration, this iterations, and this 2 to 4 weeks time. So a sprint is also a mini project, right? You start with a goal, an objective. It can be a short statement, what you want to achieve during this time, during these 2 or 3 weeks. This example, like for example, it can be technical as make the application run on SQL Server in addition to Oracle. It can be like support more technical indicator than combine ABC with real-time streaming data. Yeah, it should be concrete enough that you can say if we achieve the goal by the end of the project. But it's also it should also be broad enough. So okay, the goal it should not be inside the sprint backlog. Okay, so it's not one of the requirements, but it's describe the overall target for the sprint. Yeah, and this picture showing that, okay, so a sprint is a mini project, like some of you had described it very well yesterday. In a sprint, everything happened from requirement to testing. An interesting stat, we will allow no change during the sprint. Yeah, so we protect it from any external influence. We won't continuously take in the requirements from the customers. This point is very important, that you need to communicate. I mean, for any way of working, you need to talk and you need to agree with your customers, with your product owner, or with the project managers. It's very important. Otherwise, the customer can come up with the change all the time. And it actually happens in my experience. And yeah, even that you explain that the requirement we only take like every 2 weeks, and yeah, this is a difficult part. Well, in Scrum, there's 3 things that was mentioned. The role, that means the persons who can help to operate a Scrum team. A kind of meetings. Meeting is very important because interaction is an essential part of Scrum. And artifacts. So artifact, I will not talk much. We talk enough about that. So I focus on the first 2 points. The role. We have product owner, we have Scrum Master, and we have a team. So in a kind of like typical Scrum team, there will be one called product owner. So they define the features. They decide on the time. So this guy is very much like a project manager in a way. They're responsible for the outcomes of the project, and then they have to accept or reject things. So product owner is really the proxies of customer and managers. They're more than a project manager, in a way that they need to be closer to customer to understand the need, to really decide on the features, decide on requirements. So this is not typically done by a project manager. And the next role is what is called a Scrum Master, or we call this a method champion. So this guy like to coordinate people a lot, like to schedule meetings, like to organize things, follow up with things. So Scrum Master take a part responsibility of project manager. But this guy focus on making the team work efficiently. So the team like a machine, and if the machine like run and work well, this guy will be very happy. Yeah, and about the team. So it's not, I mean, more valid with a Scrum team from 5 to 9 people. Nowadays, it ranges in any size, but typically or originally, Scrum were created for a small team. So if you have less than 9 people, it works extremely well. Cross-functional, everyone in a team have different kind of knowledge, do different things. People should be full-time, okay. Well, teams are self-organizing and autonomous, as mentioned. And there's a lot of so-called Scrum practice that the practice is a concrete techniques like planning poker. You have a detailed step-by-step instruction how to do. It doesn't tell you when exactly you should do it, but it's one of the very common and well recommended things among practitioners. So then here we have the list of like 22. So you find this list and detail on what are they, and where you can find more instructions from the textbook. So I will not read through, but I know that you may know more than, like, someone did like burned out chart, and someone know, for example, pair programming. So the one highlight in the red text will be mentioned in the lecture. All right, so now let's shift the focus to the ceremonies or sprint meetings. So there are not many. So actually, if you have been in a software project, there could be much more number of types of meetings. So here there's only 4 kind of meetings that you are recommended to use them all. So we need to plan, right? Well, we know how important it is. So we can do the planning for the whole project, but for every sprint, we also need a plan. So for the next 2 to 4 weeks, it makes sense that we sit down and it take like 1 hour or even less to discuss and to say, first of all, what is the sprint objective? What we want to achieve primarily in the next month, next 3 weeks. And now we build a sprint backlog, which user story, which task we should pick out from the product backlog and put into our sprint. And estimations, you have done some estimation, so this is a time for doing it. And sometimes people have the customers involved in this planning phase. The second kind of meeting is even more simple. So you will see that things here is like theoretically is a very simple thing. And this is called like daily Scrum. So it works like this. So every day you come to office, you come to the working space, and when you take a cup of coffee, after that you stand up around a table with your teammates, and everybody answer 3 questions. What did you do yesterday? What will you do today? And is there anything in your way? Any challenges you are facing? It's a very simple meeting. It's not for control. It's not for problem solving even. It's only for people understand. I know that my friend, my teammate, what he is doing or what problem he's having. So just to inform people. And it happened should less than 15 minutes. And yeah, you don't even count it as a meeting. So yeah, in the project here, you will try to do all of this practice, and maybe you can adjust this kind of meeting if a daily basic is a bit too frequent, maybe 3 times per week, something like that. Yeah, and the third one is what's called a sprint review meeting. So this comes also very natural, right? Because in the end of a project, you need to meet, you need to show what you achieve. So in the end of a sprint, it's the same. And it takes a form of informal demonstrations. And yeah, so the rule is that you should not take more than 2 hours to prepare for such a meeting. And typically it can last for 45 minutes to 1 hour, but no more than that. So it's very lightweight. And you should invite as many people as possible, all kind of stakeholders, users and clients, and yeah, anyone who are interested in the result, because here, the goal of this kind of meeting is get as many input as possible. This is not a acceptance test. It's not like a formal way to approve the project finish or not. It's the milestone to mark that you are going in the right directions. It shows that how much you are away from the customer demand. Yeah, and someone mentions about retrospective meeting before. And well, there's a very good theory, a very good background on this method. Psychologically, and it is in many different principles. And in Scrum, they're smart enough to adopt it. So this meeting take also less than 30 minutes. And the ideas of this meeting is to review what we have done and how we do things, and is there a chance for us to improve the way we are doing. We want to improve ourselves, not every day, but every sprint, and this is where we can do that. So like the previous meeting, it should be moderated by a Scrum Master, and every meeting should be participated at least by own team members. And in this meeting, every member are asked to identify what they should start doing, what's the new thing they want to try, what they should stop doing, like what doesn't work in the last sprint or in the last sprints, and what continue to do. One common misunderstanding for this meeting is that people bring two technical things inside this. We are making the software, we implement a database, we connect to the Wi-Fi, etc. So people are dealing with this in their daily life, and people tend to use this meeting to solve a technical challenge. But the nature of this meeting is for the team to improve the human relationship, the team relationship, and the way people working, but not focus on like concrete challenge, concrete technical things. Yes. Wow. Let's have a break now. I think we need it, and let's come back after 15 minutes. And at that time, we won't have the presentations from you guys.